The Revaile, we discussed the einyonim of Mitzrayim, the problem, and what's the reason why this problem exists. It says, like the Rizal says, there's no place in Spheres which is connected at Tzavar, the neck. Meaning that there's Mechin in the head, there's Midas in the heart, and the Tzavar is just a hefsek. And that's why we have Klippas Mitzrayim, because in a place of Helim, then the Klippa is Yenik, and from there comes the inyan of Mitzrayim, the blockage between the mind and the heart. Fragt sich the Shaila, why is it like that? Why did the Eibshe set it up in such a way, lachatchile, as in Kedusha, in Seder Ishtalshalus, this should be such a thing? The teretz is because alibe de emes, between whenever there's a transition from one world to another world, there has to be an ein be'emtza. And because Mechin and Midas are two opposite worlds, there has to be this space in between, this ein, the Mitzrayim. Elamai, it could be utilized or abused by Klippa. Aber alibe de emes darf es lesen. Until now, the way we learned is the way we learned in the Mamer and Tafresh Nun Hey. What's Take Pshat? Why is there this Ein Be'emtza? Because in order for there to be able to be a new Gilui, to go to a higher world, the Loshen in the Mamer and bezem is, there has to be a hachon. The bittul of the first shlav is a hachana to be able to get to the next. Mamela to Mechin Midas, there has to be a bittul of Mechin. How gufat man gefragt, since when is Midas higher than Mechin? So that's the pashtus why it continues in the Mamer and Nun Hey to say, as yet, in a way, Midas are higher than Mechin, because zo ba'atikach et v'talye, Midas are mushrish higher than Mechin. And we see mevur bichlal that Midas have a tekef which comes from Mechin. Und noch mehr, Midas are shayches to Maise, because they take the etzem that shows on the tekef of the Midas, and therefore it truly is an aliyah from Mechin to Midas, and therefore it has to be this ein be'emtza as a achon. Now, what we want to do today is get more involved in the yachas of Midas to Maise. So till now we're discussing Mechin and Midas. Now we want to go different into the yachas of Midas and Maise, or more specifically, the difference between the yachas of Mechin to Maise and Midas to Maise, which is really what our Mamer is discussing. But before we do that, it's like we left off last time, it looks like the Rebbe has a different hadgasha over here, and the way the Rebbe is saying the Mamer tochen Yetzias is a little bit different to Nun Hey. So let's just point out first the chilukim, and let's try see if there's some mahalach over here. So some of the chilukim are like this. First of all, this lashon, as the ayin, the bittul of the mechin, of the madrega akedemis, is a achana to the next madrega the Rebbe takes out. The Rebbe doesn't bring that lashon. Also, the dugma of sheva yipul tzadik v'kom, that when there's aliyah from one madrega to the other, there has to be a shlila of the earlier madrega. Also, the Rebbe doesn't bring that dugma. When the Rebbe discusses the Maila of Midas, that Midas bring to Maise, the Rebbe doesn't just say, what's the Maila in Midas? There's a new lashon over here. Ma'u ha'hechrech be'inyan Midas. Why bichlal do we need Midas? Which is really a new question, which has nothing to do with our discussion. The pashtus, all we're looking to know is, why should Mechin need to be nisbatel as achana for Midas? So we have to discuss the Maila. Over here we're discussing what's bichlal the tochen in Midas. And the biggest chiluk l'chore is that the Rebbe doesn't bring the beer. The nekudas abir bepashtus is as zoba tikachet v'tali. And ikir chosam and sefer. The Rebbe doesn't say that. In other words, the Rebbe is not saying that midas have a higher sherish than meichen and the far. For meichen to come to midas, there has to be this bittul because he's going up. It's interesting. Also, when at the beginning, when the Rebbe was describing the difference between meichen and midas, the Rebbe added the lashon as meichen is bekriris, and midas are bechamimis, which the Rebbe Rashab doesn't say. Is lechure, it looks like over here, from the fact that the Rebbe doesn't bring the word of zoba tikachet v'tali, and the Rebbe is not talking bichlal about that there has to be a bittul out a hachana for the next shlav. Takes out the einyonim of hachana. The Rebbe is learning in a different eifin. It's not just the touch that in order for us to transition to a higher place, there has to be a bittul. No, the etzem fact that we're stopping one inyan and we're going into another inyan, between yesh and yesh, there has to be ein be'emtza, even if the second yesh is not high. And like the Rebbe says beferish, as kshem as milmata l'mayla, there has to be a ein be'emtza in order to get to the hayom madrege. Al derech zeh milmayla l'mata. This says benichise, without having to explain why. But azay the Yetzias. This and lechure, that's why it's a pasnish da the dugma from Sheva Yipel Tzadik v'kam bepashtus, because we're not talking over here b'chnal about aliyah. And we're not coming to this biur, like the Rebbe Rashab is talking about Zoba Tikachet V'Tali, that is the mile of Midas, in order to explain why we have to have ein be'emtza. It looks like the Rebbe is saying a psanaya klal, as between everything, every transition, there has to be this thing. Now, just the bavar, the loshen as kishem of milmata l'mayla, al derech zeh milmayla l'mata, the Rebbe Nishmas Eden also says it in Tafresh Nun Hey. But over there, it's clear that we're not saying over here Epsa Klal. It's just b'metzias. This is, if you see over there in the Mamer, it comes as a musger just to explain that al derech vi seichel nem von kecha mask is an eifon of milmata l'mayla, al derech zeh von meichen mitzvah milmayla l'mata. V'har raya that it's not saying a klal, because afterwards it comes the beer of zoba tikachet v'tali. It says afterwards we continue to explain that there is a mile in midas, which is where Pashtas coming to explain why there has to be this bittul of this hachana. Mashenkin, the Rebbe takes this loshen and makes it mean something else. It's a take do as a klal. Whenever I'm going over from one thing to another, there has to be an ein be'emtza. Now, hagufo why? Basically, there's no asbara over here. But the way the Mamer is said is that the azeidos, maybe pshat is al derech. We tried saying yesterday that in order to be magdir something, any hagdara there has to be a space between one thing and the other, even if it's not a higher thing, because it's two welten. Just to be magdir what the first yesh is, and in order there should be the beginning, to be able to say a new yesh, the etzem chiluk necessitates a space in between. It's gerade interessant that there's a letter in Igris, Chelik Yudalet, page Tof Nun Ches, when the Rebbe is discussing over there, Take Sheva Yipel Tzadik V'Kom. And over there, it sounds like the Rebbe is learning in Sheva Yipel Tzadik V'Kom like this. That it's not just the Atzachana to a Hecher Ezach, it's the etzem transition from one thing to another. So the Loshen, auf zukommen zu an andere, a Hecher Madrege, darfen sich hereinlegen und vertiefen sich in andere Hecher einyonim. Das heißt, he says, wenn man Haltung befindet sich in einer bestimmten Madrege, so you have to be involved in that Madrege. In order to be able to transition into another inyan, you have to get involved in another thing. And for that gufit, there has to be a inyan of ein be'emtza. So we see over here, maybe there's a certain mahalach that the Rebbe wants to say. Hagufa, why? If anyone has any suggestions, any thoughts, please. My number is 347-276-3814. By all means, very much appreciate if anyone could explain, first of all, what's the havona? Why a pesmer has bore? Why the Rebbe? Why there has to be the ein be'emtza? And nochmer beikar, why is the Rebbe changing? It looks like from the Rebbe Rashab. So it sounds like the Rebbe wants to say over here, Rebbe Savard, we're not looking to talk over here the Maila of Midas itself. Interessant. Al kapanim l'sikum. That's just for clarity. There is a Meitzer Agarim between the Mechen and the Midas. Why? Because zwischen Yesh and Yesh there has to be an ein be'emtza. The way the Pashtus is in Nun Hey is in order there should be a aliyah from one ein to the other, which is a Midas have a mile over Mechen. So therefore there has to be this bittul tzachane. And it sounds like what the Rebbe is learning is as the Hadgoshe is that the etzem transition is this inyan of ein. It needs this inyan of ein. Aber al kol panim of them fragt the Rebbe, mahu ha'hechrech be'inyan ha'midas. Why do we need midas? And lefizeh, that the Rebbe is learning differently. There's a tesvis emek in the inyan of the question. It says in Nun Hey, we don't have this question. Mahu ha'hechrech be'inyan ha'midas. Midas hat amayl, bepashtus. The midas has a shrosh in etzem ha'nefesh more. It's more of the person. If I'm asking you, why should the person have midas? What's the mile in loving? That's a matara b'fnei atzmi. Because that's where the person expresses itself. In a way more than making. The chamimus of the midas. That's the mile. For some reason, the Rebbe does not want to learn that. I'm asking, Mahu ha'mayla binyan midas? And of them get the Rebbe anaya bir. The whole value in midas is because ha'maysu weiker. Because midas bring us closer to Maisa. Lefizeh, maybe. Again, this is all maybe. That's why the Rebbe adds the inyan of kriris when we're discussing the difference between Mechen and Midas. In the Rebbe Rashab's sprach, chamimis is a mile in Midas. But pashtus, that is the value of Midas. The Rebbe counts it as one of the chisreins. When I talk about dveikus und bittul, is kriris dort nechedda. Masha'enkin in hergish atzme, and hispilus is dort neichet chamimis. Because this is all packaged into the difference between Mechen and Midas, and this is all going to be describing the chisaron of Midas. What's the mile from Midas? That's going to bring me to Maisa. So if the Rebbe Rashab is talking about the mile of Midas themselves, the Rebbe is going to be madgish. There's a mile in Midas. Why? Because it's going to bring us closer to Maisa. Let's just bavaran one obvious thing. The Rebbe Rashab also says this word that midas bring us to Maisa, but over there it's as an expression for for the Maila of midas. Over here, so because midas are closer in etzem nefesh, so therefore it's going to express itself also in Maisa. The Rebbe is clearly learning that it's not an expression of the Maila of midas. Faket says da Maila in Maisa. V'sara inyan is da in midas. Technically, he could be a bridge. His whole value is that he could help us get to the matara, which is the tachlis to get to Maisa, because Maisa weik. Again, it's still clearly chaser more beer, but that's what it looks like the Rebbe is doing over here. But either way, side the way the Rebbe Nishma says, side the Rebbe, we're saying that there's a maila in midas that brings us to maisa. What's the maila? Either it's expression of the maila of midas, or it helps midas become valuable because now they're bringing me to maisa. That's what the Rebbe is learning. But al kopanim, it's clear that midas are closer to maisa than mech. What we want to ask over here today is, Hagufe, what's pshat? Was heißt, dass midas is closer to maisa than mech? Das ist ein bisschen a klotzkash. Was heißt, dass midas is closer to maisa? Since when is that true? First of all, midasdike people, emotional people, are more shayches to maisa than seicheldike people. Gerade bei Yetzias, I would time the opposite. Somebody who's very emotional, he's prone to midas hakas, or a person who has a lot of ave. He's not looking for what has to be done. He's experiencing. Masha'enkin, somebody who's a seichel mensch, a kop mensch, in a way meich shalet ala lev, in order poshet to that he should be like the way Pashtus and Perikut based in Tanya. He's meich shalet ala lev in order to do the right ma'aseh. Lassen wir sagen noch scharfer. Midas is about me. Maise is something which is outside of me. In that way, Mechin has more of a shaykhis to Maise than Midas. Because Mechin is a person who understands that it's not all about me. There's a truth, there's something, so da was monzig, so da was richtig. Memele, it can be l'chure, mechayiv more Maise. But Shenken is something where it's all about my hergish. Is was it a taich bechlal mezog that midas bring me closer to Maise more than Mechin? Now, sometimes the avon is pasha technical. To get me involved. Mechin is detached, midas gets me involved. But it's clear in Chassidus Bichlal that the midas are not just a technical way of getting me involved. No, the world of midas is closer to the world of Maise. Und das darf man verstehen. L'chure verkehrt. Oh, a kopanim beshavu. Lass uns das fragen besigne nach. Ja, wenn Perik Tezayin in Tanya, the Rebbe says, as Sedo, a person who has Mechin, and he could even have Tvuna, aber se fällt him in Hergish. Memele, it's not going to bring him to Maise. Why? Because Mechin is epis, the way it says over there, is far from Maise. Masha'enkin alev, who gamkin chumri, like Klea Maise. So the lev is more of a memutze, is closer to Maise than Mechin. So, which l'chure it's a modern lashon. What do you mean the lev is chumri and the meich is not chumri? We're talking over here about the emotions, or we're talking over here about the physical heart. The physical heart, good. So there's also a physical brain. You're comparing it to the mind, to the seichel. Good, so the hergish is also, the hergish is chumri, the hergish is ruchni, just like I said. A hergish is epis mer gashmi than seichel, which is a ruchni. So if you're talking about the nefesh bezeh, they're both ruchni. If you're talking about the kelim, the ivarim agashmi, which carry them, they're both gashmi and chumri. What does that mean, Michal? There's a lashon in Kmitzeischa Mem Gimel. Just listening to a tape, the Rebbe says, as the midas, because they're more murgish in the guf, therefore the mashpia on Maise. What does that mean? Why is midas more murgish in the guf? It says when I think, I don't feel it in my brain, mashenkin, when I feel it in my heart. What's the hagdor over here? Why is it more gashmi? Now, again, there are different biurim. Sometimes we say midas bichlal shayches la'azulas. So it's a step in the direction of maise because it's more outside than the nefesh ha'adam. But that's not what we're saying over here. We're saying that there's ki'ilu a shayches to maise more to the world of maise. It's going to bring me closer to maise for whatever maise is. It's more chumri ki'ilu than meich. So that needs asbar. Yeah. Is l'chura, we could take a direction like this. This is a loshen, a very interesting loshen of the Frierdiker Rebbe in Sefer Mamer D page 18. Over there, he says a new hagdar. It says midas compared to meichin is like gashmis compared to ruchnis. Even though he says both obviously have tchunas and gashmis and ruchnis, but if we compare them, seichel is ruchni and midas is gashmi. So maybe let's try behektim. What's bichlal the chiluk zwischen gashmis and ruchnis? And then we'll try apply it over here in your name. When we discuss the difference between gashmis and ruchnis, there are always different approaches, and every time it means something else. Sometimes the hagdara is of gashmis is something which is nitfis in chameshes achushim. Sometimes it's something which is nitfis in zmanu mokim, which is not the same thing. But there is a loshen, and especially in the Rebbe's loshen, this is very common. The difference between gashmis and ruchnis is kamos and nechos. From this better uptouch. Every inyan gashmi is measured in kamos. Bepashtus. What's a taich that I have more? It means I have more in kamos. 2 tables, 3 tables is more. 10 tables is double the amount of 5 tables. Why? Because it tefers the double amount of space. Or if I have a table that lasts 5 years or a table that lasts 10 years, then it's tefers muzman. So again, it's something which is more. It's kamos. Mashaik in ruchnis, the hagdara is always in tochen, in echos. If I tell you a svara, and I tell you the same svara again, I don't have another svara. I just repeated myself. In gashmis, you could have 2 identical things. Why? Because how is it more? It's more because of the Yetzias. In fact, it's tefes more makim. So therefore, because his whole Yetzias is measured by where he's nimtza, in memele, it's more. So therefore, he is more. That's why he is. The ruchnis is a vort, is a tochen. Saying it 10 times is not more. Tifer is more. Its only way it could ever be measured is in echos. Let's get more involved. Even in Gashmi is guf. There's always the ruchnische begashmi, there's the tzura of the hayom. So the Moshe have a table, I have the design of the table. So there's a certain value in the design. The design it's an idea, it's creativity. Somebody came up with this Yefi or Reichkeit or something innovative. There's something special in the design. That design is worth money. I could sell it. There's a quality in this tzuri. If I do this design 10 times, or if I do it 100 times, it doesn't become more. There's one design. You could replicate it, you could tozen tomorrow. It's nicht mehr. Because the design is the ruchnis. It's not something which you could grab with your fist. It's not something physical. Within the Gashmistic world, it's called the ruchnis of the Gashmi. Umemele, it's going to be measured in eichos. Masha'inkin in Gashmis, the only thing that I could ever measure something is in kamas. Like we're saying, even if I'm talking, sometimes we say quality in Gashmis, like a quality table. What's pshat? It's going to last longer. Or it could survive more elements. It's measured in kamas, always. So the difference always between Gashmis and Ruchnis is this is eichos and this is kamas. It's gerade interessant. Using these agdoras, it'd be geschmack to touch up an interesting hayom. Es ist da a loschen hayom lamet 7. The Rebbe says a story over here of a young man who came into Yetzias to the Alter Rebbe, and the Alter Rebbe is talking to this averich ili Mitzrayim about Kishrin. Hat ihm gesagt, dass er Ruchnis und Gashmis einen Hafochim, be'etzem Husse. Das, was ist am Meile in Gashmis, ist a Chisoren in Ruchnis. In Gashmis ist a Semech Bechelke die größte Balmeile. Und durch Avede wird das auch eine Zukunft zu der höchsten Madreges. In Gashmis ist a Meile wegen Semech Bechelke. In Ruchnis aber ist Semech Bechelke die größte Chisoren und wird Rachman Letzlan a Yerid V'Nef. So we know this rule that in Gashmis you should be Sameach Bechelke. Mashenkin in Ruchni is fakert. If you Sameach Bechelke, you become a Yerid V'Nef. Question is, what's the Hagdom? Is a Hagdom that Ruchnis and Gashmis are Fachim, and what's a Meile in Ruchnis is a Chisaron in Gashmis. And fakert. What's that got to do with the idea of Sameach Bechelke? Why is Sameach Bechelke be'etzem in Gashmis supposed to be there and that's a Meile, and in Ruchnis it's be'etzem not supposed to be there? So lefi anal sehr verstandig. Lecher. Gashmis is about Yetzias. It's measured in kams. It's measured in fact, in experience. Ruchnis, it's measured in tochen. In Gashmis, the fact that I see somebody else has more than me, and I'm jealous, it's a chisar. Why? Experience your experience now. You're here. You should be fixed and placed in your zman and in your makom. Was guckst du jenem in Teller? In other words, in Gashmis, it doesn't make sense. Enjoy the present. Enjoy the moment. There's always going to be something else somewhere. So, Sameach Bechelke, if you understand the quality of what Gashmis is, which is, es ist da a Geschmack in der Essen, oder es ist da a Geschmack in der, and any Gashmistige Sach, so it's poshet narish in the world of Gashmis to not be a Sameach Bechelke. Experience the moment and take advantage of it the way it is. So you only own $100. Good. Sei sameach mit dem. Because that's what Gashmis, the Gashmis is the present. What the Yetzias. Ruchnis, by definition, is not that. Ruchnis is as mesucht allemal der Echos. Mesucht mer. Like sometimes in Yisrech Ilik Vav, the Rebbe takes even a step further, that Ruchnis is always a Mashiach zu hecher. If somebody in Ruchnis is stuck in a certain place in Yetzias, in experience, he's missing what Ruchnis is. If somebody is learning, and he says, I came to Maskona, I closed the sugya, I don't need more. So you're not learning. That's not what Seichel is. That's not what Ruchnis is. Ruchnis sucht allemal mehr. Why? Because it's Eichos. In other words, let's say it sharper. In Kamus, Everything b'mkayme is its ultimate. You could always have more something of something else. Good, it's done. But this is what it is. In the Ruchnis, there's always deeper and deeper. And that's the direction of Ruchnis. So Ruach Adam Yela to one more. Okay. Al Kolpan. If this is the Agdaras Achilek zwischen Gashmis and Ruchnis, let's apply it back in the difference between Meichen and Mitzvah. There's a fundamental difference in the way a person relates to a friend and the way a person relates to a svar. If I have a havana of a svar and somebody else has a havana of a svar, we both understand the same thing. And we're both connected to the same thing. Masha'enken, if I have a friendship and he has a friendship with the same person, it's two different friendships. Why? Because Ave is by definition my experience. It's not the truth. It's not him, it's about my relationship with him. So if Reuven loves Shimon and Levi loves Shimon, it's zwei besondere Sachen. Why is that? Because Seichel is about the emes. It's Kilo Neymar. What we're talking over here is Eichus. It is, what is he? Another person understood it, didn't make it more. Masha'en came in Midas, it's about Kamus. Lepeil, the way Midas are experienced, another person experiences it, it is not Hamidah. Is it more richtig? So, no. So what? It's not measured by another person experiencing it. The only way it could be measured is if it's happening. If it's happening in my heart, that is the only way a middah is measured. Das was a middah is. Ich feel das. Lass uns sagen, efshe gringer, besigne nachher. If I have a havana of something, I dare hear something one day, and the next day I dare hear the same thing again. Do I have more seichel? No. Because it's the same seichel, the same truth is made. Masha'ekin, if I have an ave today, and tomorrow I have again an ave, to the same person, I experience the hergish again. If a person says a svara, could you say the same svara again? Could you hear the same shiur 10 times? I know it. Could you sing the same niggin 10 times? Zicher. You already have it. You already did it. I want to experience it again. So the geder of seichel is the truth. Let's call it what he is. Repeating it, kamus, is not going to make it more. Masha'en came. Midas, it's about experience. It's always going to be measured in counts. If I'm going to experience the same midah to different people, it's more. If I'm going to experience the same midah to the same person, it's more, again and again. Jeden Tag will ich davenen zu derselbe Hebestelle and have the same hergish, and wieder und wieder. It's for the moment. In other words, Seichel is about the truth. Midas is about the fact. The fact that it's happening. That is its value. The value is Poshet, the Yetzias of the now. Memele, Tzarich zu tochen Dalet, this will be the taich of the Lashon of the Frierdiker Rebbe. What's the geder of Seichel and Midas? Is when we compare them, we could say Seichel is Ruchni biyachas to Midas, which is Gashmi. What do we mean Gashmi? Just like a Gashmi is the Gezach, it's nimded, it's measured by its Metzias, by its fact, just the fact that I exist, not the what, not the tochen, just that I am. I'm another table, even though it's not a new tochen, it's another fact, it's another space, it's another time. So al derech zeh is in Midas. It happened again. That's the way it's measured is the experience shebezeh, the fact, not the emes shebezeh. Maybe that's going to be taich why midis are taka a memutza between Meichen and Maisa. How does Seichel look at Maisa? Zichra Seichel could be Mechayev Maisa. But the way Seichel is Mechayev Maisa, there's no value to the Maisa itself. Lama da Zogan Azei, Seichel's Yachas to Maisa is, I want the Nifal. I don't want the Pu'ul. They say, a person walks into a room, and Al Pi Seichel, this should be moved. He doesn't want to move it. He wants that this should be here. Besignen acher, Seichel is in Shlui. There's a lashon in Ele Pkude that the yachas of Seichel is always a yachas of Eir. Eir is b'derech memel. Meaning, Eir, the yachas of Seichel is always going to be, I don't want anything to be a stira to it. Bechlal, Seichel fragt akashe, the teretz is always, I don't want to have anything. What's attached to the teretz? Severt ois kashe. Nothing is a stira anymore. Umamela is lichtig. The yachas of Seichel to any Yetzias of Maise is always going to be, ich will ausreißen the stira to the truth. There's something wrong, there's something corrupt, there's something krum. Memele darf sich es beiten. So I'm looking for the results of Maise. I'm not looking to make a Maise. Masha'enkin midas are looking for experience. There's a value in the experience of Hergish. He could understand there's a value in a Pu'ula. Es ist dort der Meile der Reichkeit von Ton. Nicht, dass sich abton. This Meile of Maise, this Chayis in Maise could only come from Midas. In Perek Dalet, the Alter Rebbe says, as Kiyama Midas v'chayuso comes from Midas. The fact that a person can opt on a Maise al pi Seichel sicher, but he's never going to have a Geschmack in the Tilas Lulav. He's going to have, as ich hab jetzt given, ich hab nicht getan. What's the din? As the Tarnish sein ist, Yid hat nicht geschaltet Lulawein, ich hab nicht gezogen, ich hab nicht gegessen in der Matze, hat nicht. Das kann Seichel reden. Kann Seichel reden a Geschmack in Ton? The tochen of Ton is also abta. Masha'enke in Midas, they are experiential. Says dort the Geschmack, there's a value in Maise itself. That's what we mean when we say Midas are going to give a chayis in Maise, a lebedigkeit to the Maise. And that's the taich what the Rebbe is saying over here, ma hechrech binyan Midas. We're not suggesting over here that without Seichel, there wouldn't be Maise. There would be, but it wouldn't be the world of Maise. Ich wollte nicht getan am Maise mit der Chayis. And that's like a pshat in the Dugumoyes that the Rebbe brings in the Maimon. The Rebbe says, if a person knows something only Api Seichel, aber nicht in Midas, so the result's going to be that ich weiß der Ingen, aber sagt, es ist noch ein Hider, in dem bin ich nicht mechuyev, auf dem ist noch dort Zeit. So therefore, legt up in Yoni Tere Mitzvahs for in Yoni Ya'el. Says, whenever there comes a clash between in Yoni Ya'elam and in Yoni Tere Mitzvahs, so he's going to say these kind of tirutzim. When there's this clash, like in the old Hanoch, the Lashon is a snakshus. I think in the new Hanoch they change it to a snakshus with a gimel. Okay. Upon him, whenever there's this stira comes, so the result's going to be a chelos abshtu. We're not saying over here that Seichel is going to say, I know the truth, but I don't care. That's not true. Seichel is mechayiv Maise. But it never gets excited about Maise. So therefore, if there's any leeway, as is, ich bin nicht mechuyev, fine, so I won't do it. Because the only reason is, like you were saying before, it's like a yachas shlili. Setonish nicht sein. If there's more time still, so it's not necessary. There's no excitement. Masha'ein kain, if there's midis, says da wieder baditchever. Kann nicht schlafen eine ganze Nacht. He wants to jump to Shachen and Lulav. That doesn't come from Seichel. He wants the experience of it. It's the hayes in the Maisa Ale. And then there's no upstuppen, it's nicht negeh, it's ahidur, it's nicht negeh, the Agdar is what he is, because I'm looking to do it, not to get it done. Olafi kol zeh is verstandig why it's so important that the Mechin should be made the mid in order to make a mice. And therefore is understood what's so terrible about Klippas Mitzrayim when there's a Mitzrayim Agar. As is not the Mitzrayim Agarim, so it's not allowing for Mechin to be made in mice. Why? Because even though Mechin could technically be Mechayiv the Maisa, it's not going to be Lebedik because there's no Midas. And that's why Klippas Mitzrayim is the Sibba, or the reason for all the Golias. He's not one of the Dalit Golias. He's the Sibba for all the Golias, because every Klippa, every issue in Midas, every Midarah is really the reason for it is because Mechin wasn't allowed to be meir into Midas, so therefore it could never be meiled a varmkeit, a geschmack in Elokus. Nicht kein Ave, nicht kein Yira, not any. How gufa, what's the Eitzah? What's the Eitzah of them? So we're going to have to somehow penetrate this union of Mitzrayim. So it's interesting, the Rebbe doesn't, in our Mamer and also in Hey, there's no specific way how to deal with the clip of Mitzrayim, but Mitzrayim next time will begin a discussion maybe on what's the mahalchim, what's taka the remedy for this problem. Have a good night.